Alright, welcome back. This one is a relatively short and simple. You notice it's only a 2 skull difficulty campaign. However, it's kind of odd and interesting, so I kind of still wanted to do it and cover it. Plus, this is the last short one I'll be doing for a little while. The next three I have in the can, including the finale of the Dobrev storyline, all run between 50 and 60 minutes, I believe. So, get a short one out of the way and upload it while I work on the long ones. So, as you see here, we are working for a quote unquote trustworthy client, or will be, should he be able to convince us, named Ed Corbu, whose holo projector is on the fritz and is showing us an image of a parrot with sunglasses instead of his actual face. And it gets weirder from there because he's trying to talk us into doing an archaeological heist of what, as he puts it, and turns out to be true, is nothing more than Starleague office equipment. But just like nowadays, and myself included, I am one of those people. There are people who will pay premium money for, antique things from an era they're interested in, even if it's literally just a knickknack to sit on a desk or something that doesn't work with anything anymore. Guilty. I'm one of those people, so I can kind of understand this. So right now he's trying to talk us into it. For obvious reasons, coming into this, we're looking at this guy is not real professional, not real experienced and stuff. But I kind of make the decision as the commander that, you know what, this doesn't seem to be too risky of a mission. Not that things can't still go wrong, but it's not like it's a 5 skull mission here. So you know what, even if we don't get a lot out of it, let's go for it. Why not? Seems like a bit of a change of pace from what we normally do. I have rejected this one in the past before. I've had times because I try to do it with the. I do each one of these as a different character. Some of them are a little more mean and nasty and cutthroat, and some of them have been like the mythical paragon of Star League virtue. So they're all a little bit different. I've had times that I get to the end of that and I go, you know what? I think you're full of shit. Bye. We're leaving, and just go. And this one has is one of the ones with a weight limit, as you see here. A maximum of 200 tons does severely limit what is available for us to use, but at the same time, a 2 skull mission. It's not that huge of a risk here, so. And I'm 5 tons over right now. I gotta get rid of either the Wolverine or the Griffin. Which one's gonna go? Griffin it is. Wolverine has better firepower, so we'll go with him. If my trebuchet was in good repair, but oh well. Also, with this one, if I don't have a lot to say about it, I recorded this one last night, and the audio file didn't save properly. It was corrupted badly, so I need to do it all over again. So this is kind of one of those, whatever, let's just get this done things. That, and there really isn't a lot that goes on in this one to talk about, but as I said, this is one that, at least to
Command
me, is
interface
still fun and
initiated.
worth doing. Didn't want to just ignore it and blow past it. Plus, at the end of this, the second part of this, you get to see a very common glitch I have with the HBS BattleTech that comes up. Not just with this computer, with my old, much better computer too. So, it's apparently just a glitch in the game, but I'll explain it when it gets to it. Okay, and while these two have their, testosterone kissing contest, I don't want to know what the hell Proserpina blood limpets are. I don't know, nor do I
Ready to
want
rock,
to.
Chief.
I'm guessing not pleasant if he's threatening to dunk your head in him, but whatever. How does he?
Coordinates received.
What does he feed him? Ugh.
Aye, aye.
Bet there's not a lot of. talking back on that crew, let's put it that way. Of course you can question my orders. Then you will get your head dumped in the vat of blood limpets.
Confirmed.
Full throttle.
You get to go to Blorch, home of the slaughtering rat people.
Commander.
Why would you draw that? So here we've got two, I believe those are Manticores. Yep, two Manticore tanks. Which, appropriately enough, I have a pair of miniatures of sitting right here that I'm painting for my tabletop unit. How appropriate. Manticore is actually a pretty good tank, as you'll see here from medium mechs at least. They can take a pretty good pounding for what is supposed to be an outclassed type of weapon. A lot of people really don't pay attention to armored vehicles, especially in the computer games, but the tabletop too. Ignoring the fact that armored vehicles are a lot cheaper than battle mechs, so for the same battle value or C-build value, you could field a much larger force of armored vehicles. Yeah, these aren't the best quality. They're quick, cheap 3D print, but they'll do. Need to do some cleanup before I paint them. Didn't know they were 3D prints when I ordered them, but whatever. They looked like they must have had them done up finished. They looked like just normal plastic minis, but oh well.
Damage minimal.
Give me something to do when I'm not recording while I wait for all this stuff to render.
Standing by.
I rendered just the video without the audio track over it of the end of the Dobrev mission last night, and it took 3 hours to render. So I'm not looking forward to rendering all of these with the audio added and all that. And in case you were wondering, in the HBS game, no, flamers do not do damage to vehicles. I wasn't sure, so I decided to find out. The answer is no. However, an AC-20 does pretty good.
Position confirmed.
And I realized last night when I was recording the original recording of this, I referred to, you'll see, I have one here, there's the hunchback and the swayback. Dawned on me that people that don't know BattleTech might be going, huh? When I call it that, it says hunchback. Why are you saying swayback? That's a in-universe slang for what is this, a hunchback by type. The chassis and design are a hunchback, but it's on comms to differentiate for whatever, I don't know how it ended up being called the swayback, but it's what pilots use to differentiate between one that has that massive AC-20 and one of the variants with the other loadouts in it. If you hear somebody call out a hunchback on comms, it's the one with the AC-20. If you hear them call out a swayback, it's one of the other variants. The only one of which I believe is here in this game is the one I have called medium lasers. But there are also other variants. I believe there's a variant with like 3 SRM-6 packs and a few other things that, you know, if you can cram it in that giant box, why not try it? Especially considering the hunchback is optimized for close-in urban combat, so the more damage you can do in a hurry, the better. The idea with the swayback, the one that's in the game here with the medium lasers, is it has the potential to do as much or more damage than that AC-20 with what it has. With the two trade-offs, the benefit being it's not ammo dependent for a long campaign or a long fight, but it's also much more heat intensive. So you have a trade-off that makes it somewhat less useful, but in the long term and for a good pilot who knows what he's doing and how to keep from overtaxing it, a benefit. So a lot of the BattleTech variants of main chassis are like that. It's, you know, how can we optimize one aspect of what this design is meant to be
I copy.
at the cost of something else? A lot of the time, the primary variants that you see in the game are like the best balanced, and then you might get one that does more damage but also generates more heat, or moves faster but has less
Reporting.
armor, that
One
kind
less
of thing.
vehicle.
That's not to say that the stock variants that you see in game are automatically the best. They just tend to be like, this was the starting point, and then
Location
the
confirmed.
variants are optimizing some aspect of that
Move order received.
design process. Or sometimes completely flipping the intent of the mech on its head, like the Atlas in most variants is meant to be starting at long range and then increasing in damage as it closes in to be, effective across all range. Where, as you see in the game here, when I pilot the Atlas, most of the time, with the exception of the fact that it has either PPCs or large lasers, depending on what I have available, it's optimized for massive close-in damage. I might soften you up with the long-range beam weaponry, and then I get in close and hit you with like an Ultra AC-20 and a pair of SRM-6s or something. So there's the end of the first half of this. Nothing real all that special. Relatively quick opposition. And as he said, it's commercial-grade Lost Tech desk accessories. So I picture it being like those clacker balls that you see on executive desks and things like that. Nothing of real importance except to a collector or people who are just, enthralled with the glory of the former Star League, which we'll get into in the end here. So, no damage taken, nobody injured. Just a little bit of armor damage, which doesn't even cost you anything to fix. However, no real salvage either. I think I just take a PPC and call it a day. And he seems surprised to see you, doesn't he? Hey there! Just the guys I wanted to see. Yeah, right. Also, he's kind of in the middle of something, as you find out here. Those two guys you just fought, or at least their two units, they weren't personally there, but they've got him trapped in his condo now. And it turns out he lied to both of them to get them to do what he just had you do, and both of them backstabbed him and turned on him and tried to take it for themselves. The initial one did it, and then he hired the other one to take care of that one for a cut, and they turned on him too. So, as Yang puts it when it gets to it, so what you're saying is you hired us to rob a vault from under your own contractor, who you hired to take down your other contractor, both of whom turned on you and tried to steal it for themselves. And he says, sounds so bad when you put it that way. This is definitely one of the more interesting, odd ones. I almost always take option B in this. I don't think I've ever done option A because just looking at the two, it seems like that's the one that has the most potential for something to go wrong. I have also taken option C where I tell them, I'm just going to keep this shit for myself. You're on your own. Bye. And off I go. But, yeah, I didn't do that for this one because you don't get the other fight for that. So. Roger that, Space Doc. This guy is weird, but amusing. The parrot sunglasses that he is. And thankfully, this one has no weight limit, so I can just take my normal lance. And you get much better money out of it than the first part. So this is supposed to be a drop, and but we're setting it up as a trap. So goes about as well as you would expect. However, you get to see an interesting little glitch here. It's the first time it's actually come up in one of these recordings, which is kind of surprising to me because normally it happens to me all the time. Come on now.
Command interface initiated.
There we go. Or do we? Yes, there we are. And there you see the wonderful glitch. Every once in a while, it can happen to both you and the opposition, but mostly it seems to happen to you, is it will load the, what do you want to call it? I guess the frame, the structure of what you're doing, so you can run the mission. Everything works like it's supposed to, but it fails to load the texture or the skin or whatever you want to call it. So you get these semi-transparent pink ghost-looking things doing the fighting. You can still fight the mission. You don't not like you need to back out and reload, but it's just an odd little thing that happens. I think it's a side effect of the memory leak in this, but I'm not positive. It happens often enough that I've been tempted to do up a lance of mechs to use in tabletop that are painted just uniformly pinkish purple like that as a joke. Then when I put them on the table, be like, oh crap, it didn't load the texture. Sorry, man.
All weapons committed.
Locust, go bye-bye. I'm sorry if you hear a little bit of noise in the background. I forgot to turn off the scanner going on out in the living room, and it might be picking it up. We're getting a lot of freezing rain here today where I am, so the scanner's going crazy. Normally I don't notice it in the background, but for some reason today it's much more noticeable, so the mic might be picking it up. If not, just ignore that apology, but if it is, consider it extra radio chatter in the background to make this a little more immersive and believable. As you listen to somebody go out for a drug overdose or a car accident every 5 minutes. Especially the drug overdoses.
Confirmed.
That's one that I'm sorry to say I am extremely non-sympathetic toward. I'm so glad I'm not a paramedic or first responder.
Reporting. Vehicle destroyed.
I'm sorry, but if you overdose and we have to revive you with Narcan, I wouldn't revive you because you're just going to do it again, 90% chance. Not saying nobody ever cleans up, but between ones I've had to deal with at work and ones I've had in my personal life that have opioid problems, the odds are not good that if you get revived from an overdose that you are never going to do it again.
Something good.
I'm first aid certified and everything where I work. I'm one of the people that's the card carriers. If something happens, they have to go get me. But that's the one thing that, you know, as one of my bosses said, if you find somebody dead in a car or something, don't go get name redacted because you probably just go, yep, they're dead. Call the cops. Because we haven't had it since I've worked there, but over the years we've had quite a few people in the parking lot or in the on the ground somewhere be found unconscious or even dead from drug overdoses.
Light damage,
The joy of working in a historic park in the middle of a city in the Rust Belt. It's sad that I kind of pine for the days when everybody was on meth instead of heroin. I do know a few people that have managed to clean themselves up and keep themselves off that shit, but they're more the exception than the rule. That's one of those things. Once you get into that shit, you're done.
Enemy mech. Critical damage detected.
Anyway, this Banshee does not last long. I think I've mentioned before, but I'll say again, the Banshee itself is not a terrible mech. You can customize it and outfit it for various roles, and it'll do pretty well. However, it's not a very good mech, especially for a 90-ton assault. It's an underwhelming firepower in many of its variants. It has the potential to hold more,
Mech
but
destroyed.
it's got a couple of hard-hitting weapons that,
Receiving you.
you know, yeah, if they manage to connect real good, they can really screw somebody up, but on the whole, they either die after one alpha strike or get killed by long-range shit before they even get close enough to use some of their more close-in weapons. I'm tempted in one of these to get a Banshee and try to come up with a loadout for it I like, because that's one of those mechs that there's got to be a use for it, but
Light damage. Holding
any of
firm.
the in-game variants, although I won't say any, some of the later ones when you get past this era and there's more Lost Tech stuff becoming available again, like DOS rifles and Streak
Full throttle.
SRMs and pulse lasers and things like that, then it becomes a little more useful. But in this period with the technology and weaponry that's available, it's just a bullet sponge,
Full speed.
to be honest. It's just there to soak up rounds meant
What's
for
up,
better
Bob?
assault mechs.
Acknowledged.
So the first one was 3 mechs and a vehicle. This one
Ready
is
for order.
likewise 3 mechs and a vehicle, each one of them headed by an assault mech. This second one is headed by a much more effective assault
All
mech,
weapons
and oh, you
are go. Enemy down.
I love the commando, but I don't care who you are, you're not surviving an alpha strike
Aye aye.
from a maxed out pilot and an archer. It's just not happening. Not unless you've got one hell of a lot of terrain and 2 hit modifiers going on to make him miss, because he's got enough firepower to kill you twice over. And you see he's running into the same issue I did. It doesn't seem to often happen with vehicles. It happens more with mechs. But the second Lance that launched it, or loaded in here, has the same problem. Was that a Javelin and a Galleon?
All weapons committed.
Galleons are, yeah, you just see how tough that thing was.
Enemy unit destroyed.
The Javelin for a light fire support mech isn't terrible, but against 4 heavy mechs,
Moving
it's
out.
boned.
Firing. All weapons.
Or in this case, against 1 heavy mech, it's boned. Well done, Medusa.
Waiting for orders. Roger that. Roger that.
LRM
Critical
crit.
hit, Commander.
Yes, Commander. Roger. Firing.
Large laser crit, medium laser crit, heat sink destroyed.
Solid connection on that one.
Which on a Stalker, if this was not a cold weather environment, he'd be screwed losing heat sinks, because the Stalker is notorious for how bad its heat management is. It's got a lot of weapons, but not a lot of capacity to fire them all. However, in this map, it's not so much of an issue.
All weapons committed.
Heat sink destroyed, arm destroyed, large laser destroyed.
Enemy mech. Critical damage detected.
Yeah.
This poor guy.
Move into position.
SRM crit, large laser crit, head hit,
Scored a critical hit.
knocked over. This guy's having a bad day. I think the next shot just cores him, if I remember right.
Yes, Commander. On my way.
Yeah, he's screwed.
Confirmed.
So there you go. That's the end of this. Now we just got the post mission.
Target neutralized.
We've got our staplers. Woo! I believe you have my stapler.
Mission successful.
And I'll get a little bit ahead of what he says here so I don't talk over the end. Plus, I think it glitches if I remember right. Another one of those where it loses resolution. He mentions who he's selling it to is some high status types who he believes works in telecommunications. Comstar. He's talking about Comstar. He raided this thing to get a bunch of several hundred-year-old office supplies to sell it to a telecommunications company that worships toasters. So I don't want to know what horrible, unclean acts they're doing with these knickknacks we found, but whatever. We got our money, we're getting out of here. Comstar is a cool faction to get into, but for any of the other ones looking at them, especially in this time period, they're just a bunch of weird techno pseudo wizard people. So that have a stranglehold on communications. If you think Comcast or Spectrum is bad, multiply it by about 1,000 and you've got Comstar. So there we go. Anyway, there's the end of this. Please give me a like and subscribe. Even just a thumbs up on the video, it helps immensely. Shows up on more people's searches, and I will immediately get to recording the next one. As you'll see at the end, you don't really get a lot out of this, but it really didn't cost you anything either. So you get some money and some stuff to sell off as salvage. So have a good one. Later, y'all.